So here I have ace king in the big blind, and there's a lot of weak limpers, and this guy raises it to $10, fire ready aim, which is a weak player, and I should be 3-betting this out of position to 40, 45, 50, or $55, I think, on the larger side, because I am out of position. But I do not choose to do that because for some reason I feel passive sometimes, and I just make the call, which is going to be horrible, as these weaker hands will get a great price to come in and see a flop. So I should be 3-betting here, isolating fire ready and cater. They are already weak. There's no reason to just call here. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense to me, honestly. So obviously, gonna make the lower end of the spectrum play, the negative EV play by a mile, as you see an avalanche of calls. Gonna go out of position to a flop, which comes down queen, king 10, and it's not great for me, honestly. Jack 9 is an obvious holding. These players could have king 10 and queen 10, even king queen, less likely, but queen 10 and king 10 are super obvious, just weak hands. Even though I'm blocking king, super weak hands that have a possibility of being here. But regardless, I'm here at the top of my range. I bet 28 into 69, targeting pairs with gutters. Basically pairs with gutters. These ranges are so weak that I just have to go for it, even though I created this problem by just flatting the raise pre-flop. Fire ready aim goes all in. I'm not feeling great, but I'm going to try to get lucky on the turn and river. I've already invested so much into this. So I think here I should be just jamming, considering I'm at the top of my range, even though I called the raise pre-flop. And this is where I make a mistake. I should be jamming and not be giving a free card into a $260 pot, but I end up checking, which is horrible, giving Eden and TJ a look at the $260 pot. But when it goes check, check, and I see a clean river, I definitely think I can pull off this side pot. So I go for $40, hoping maybe they will call. They end up both folding, and I get super lucky to scoop this one with ace king. And I just think if I did this 10 times, I would lose 7 and win 3. So super fortunate to win that one. So we have ace queen on the button, as there's a couple limps to me. Gonna raise it up to $11, charge the weak limpers, and Ian has a little bit of a bluffing problem. He's bluffs way more than he should be, and T-Bone is a player that will call with a lot of draws. Flop comes super dry to queen 7, and I will usually be betting top pair if it is wet, as T-Bone will be calling with a lot of draws. However, I have shown Eaton some C-bet continuation bet bluffs, so I think with this dry flop I can check it back, and maybe one of them can go into hero mode, as I'm not scared of a lot of turns and rivers. Make it look like I'm just trying to steal it with ace king or a hand that doesn't have showdown. So I'm going to check it here and go to the next street. Next card is a deuce, which is a good card. Doesn't really change much. And I'm going to lead out, make it look like I am trying to take it down in position. And I bet 24 into 36. I'm going to get a call by Eaton. And going to rip the last 18 in there. He's going to make the call, and calls with the 6-7 suited. So worked out pretty well, considering I checked back on the flop on this dry board. So I have the 8-5 of spades in the big blind, which I would always fold. never playing this hand because it is not a good hand. And everybody's going to limp, get checked, and it's going to flop an 8 high flush draw, and nobody is going to bet at all. Then we make our flush, and we are going to bleed out $8 into $10, which is fine. And we end up getting raised by Marcus. Now, when I looked at the game when I started, Marcus is the biggest winner at the game, and he seems like he is solid. Raises on turns and rivers are underbluffed. I have an 8 high flush draw, and it is not looking good for me. Somehow, I convinced myself that he has bluffing with the ace of spades, so I think I should be flatting, because if I rip it in, he calls with better and folds out worse. Obviously, everyone in poker knows that. Usually that is the rule, but I don't know if I'm tilted or I'm just flat out dumb. I end up ripping this in, which is absolutely horrible, as a lot of people limp with weak aces that are suited, like ace 5 suited, ace 4 suited, ace 4 spades, things like that. And I just rip it and get called. And I just wanted to show that you should not donk off with small flushes, even though they're hard to fold, because raises on turns and rivers, depending on the player, are just underbluffed, especially check raises and check raises on the river and turn. So, just not going to make that mistake again. So here's a hand that I like how I played. Snuggle had been super active in raising a bunch, so I'm going to go for the limp back raise with aces, hoping that Snuggle will raise it. Snuggle, Fish, and Eaton are definitely not solid players, so I think I can exploit them here if someone raises, which happens. $10. Gonna get a call from the Fish guy, Eaton, and the pot size raid would be 50. But I want to keep him in, so I'm gonna make it a little smaller and get it in on any flop. So I make it 45, I believe. I want them to call. If I get killed on the flop, that's fine. But I could get it in with one of them by raising or just jamming, but I make a little undersized pot. Eaton folds, 2 callers, gonna get it in on any flop. 955, it's good enough. Pocket 4s and 8-9 just shows why it was a good back raise, limp back raise, as Snuggle raised with the pocket 4s, and I like how I played this one.